In 2010, researchers at UCLA walked into the homes of 60 families and asked them one simple question: describe your home. They weren't filming a reality show, they were measuring saliva samples, tracking cortisol, the stress hormone, throughout the day. And here's what stopped them cold. The people who described their homes as cluttered, full of unfinished projects, piles, chaos, had cortisol curves that looked like people living with chronic stress. Their stress never dropped, even at home, even at rest. The people who described their homes as restful, their cortisol fell the moment they walked through the door. Same city, same workloads, different four walls. So here's the question this video answers. What does your home actually do to your brain? And why do some people keep their space clean effortlessly, almost automatically, while the rest of us fight a losing war against the mess? By the end, I'll give you a 7-day protocol that rewires this, not with discipline, but with something far more reliable. Stay for that, because the last step is the one almost everyone skips. But first, you need to understand the invisible tax your environment is charging you right now. Your brain has a habit you don't know about. It counts open loops. Every object in your field of vision that is out of place, the mug that should be in the sink, the laundry on the chair, the mail you keep meaning to open. Your visual system registers each one as an unfinished task. Not consciously, you don't hear an alarm, but underneath your awareness, your brain is keeping a ledger. Neuroscientists at Princeton tested this directly. They put people in environments with multiple objects competing for attention and measured what happened inside the visual cortex. The result? Physical clutter doesn't just sit there. It actively fights your brain for processing power. It overloads the visual cortex and degrades your ability to focus, filter information, and switch between tasks. In plain language, a messy room doesn't just look bad. It makes you measurably dumber while you're in it. Think about the last time you tried to work at a cluttered desk. You sit down, open the laptop, and 10 minutes later you're somehow thinking about the laundry. That's not a character flaw. That's your attention being harvested by your own environment, one object at a time. Psychologists call the mechanism cognitive load, the total amount of mental effort your brain is spending at any moment. And cognitive load is a zero-sum game. Every unit of attention your environment steals is a unit you can't spend on your work, your conversations, your decisions. Now flip it. When you walk into a clean, ordered space, something remarkable happens. Nothing competes. There are no open loops. Your visual cortex idles down. Your working memory frees up, and your brain finally gets to spend its full budget on what you actually chose to do. This is why people with consistently clean homes often seem calmer and sharper. They're not gifted, they're just not paying the tax. Quick question, and answer honestly in the comments, because I'm genuinely curious. Where do you do your most focused work? A clean space or a chaotic one? I've seen people argue both sides, and the psychology says only one of them is right. Now here's the deeper layer, the one that explains why cleaning became a habit some people can't live without. Most of your life is out of your hands. You can't control the economy, you can't control traffic, other people's moods, your boss's tone in a meeting, or the news cycle. For most of us, that unpredictability creates a low, constant hum of anxiety, so constant we've stopped noticing it. Psychology has a name for how much control you believe you have over your own outcomes: locus of control. People with an internal locus, who believe their actions genuinely shape their results, show lower anxiety, higher motivation, and better resilience under pressure. People with an external locus, who feel life just happens to them, fare worse on almost every measure of well-being. So here's the question: where do you train an internal locus of control? You can't practice on the stock market. You can't practice on other people. You practice on the one territory that is entirely, completely yours: your home. The state of your kitchen counter, whether the bed is made, whether the sink is empty before you sleep. These are tiny domains, but they are domains where your decision becomes reality within minutes, every single time. And each time you restore order to a space, your nervous system logs a quiet, powerful message. I act, and the world responds. I am not helpless. That's not motivational talk. That's how the belief circuitry actually updates, through repeated evidence, not affirmations. This is also why so many people instinctively start cleaning when they're stressed or overwhelmed. Ever caught yourself doing that? Anxious, restless, and suddenly you're reorganizing a drawer at 11 p.m. You weren't procrastinating. You were self-medicating with the only fully controllable environment you have. But control explains why cleaning feels good. It doesn't explain why some people do it every single day without effort. For that, we have to go one level deeper, to identity. Here's one of the most robust findings in behavioral psychology. People act in alignment with who they believe they are, not with what they want, not with what they know is good for them, with who they believe they are. If "I'm a messy person" is written into your self-image, you will behave like a messy person, reliably, automatically, almost proudly. You'll look at the pile and think, "That's just how I am." And every time you say that sentence, you cast one more vote for it. But, and this is the part that should genuinely excite you, identity is not a trait. Identity is a file of evidence, and your actions are the entries. Every time you clear the table right after dinner, you write one line into the file. "I am someone who takes care of their space." One line means nothing, but 30 lines? 60? At some point, the weight of evidence becomes impossible for your brain to ignore, and it does something remarkable. It updates the picture. The behavior stops being an effort and starts being a description. This is why people who clean daily will tell you, honestly, "I don't even think about it." They're not superhuman. The behavior crossed over, from something they do to someone they are. And behavior that flows from identity costs almost no willpower at all. So the real goal was never, clean every day for the rest of your life. The goal is to clean consistently enough that your brain reclassifies the behavior, from effort to identity. Hold on to that, because in a few minutes I'm going to tell you exactly how long that rewiring takes. The number surprised researchers. It will probably surprise you. But first, we have to kill a myth. Because everything I've said so far is useless if you believe this one thing. Look at someone with a permanently clean home, and the natural conclusion is, they must have incredible discipline. More than me. A level of willpower I haven't reached. That conclusion is wrong, completely wrong. And believing it will keep you stuck. What you're actually watching when you watch that person is not discipline. It's automation. The behavior runs on the same neural machinery as brushing your teeth, and you don't need a pep talk to brush your teeth. It's simply what happens at that time, in that place, triggered by context, executed by habit circuitry that asks your conscious mind for almost nothing. And that distinction matters enormously because discipline and automation have opposite economics. Discipline is a depleting resource. Spend it all morning resisting things, and by evening you're out. That's why people who diet perfectly all day break down at 10 p.m. Automation is the opposite. It's self-sustaining. Once a behavior is automated, it costs you nothing and it never runs out. So the entire game is getting a behavior across the bridge, from discipline to automation. Which brings me back to the number I promised you. In 2009, a study in the European Journal of Social Psychology tracked people building new habits and measured how long it took for a behavior to become automatic. The average? 66 days. Not 21 like the internet myth says. 66 days of repetition before the brain takes over the job. And here's the detail almost nobody mentions. The same study found that missing a single day did not reset the clock. Slipping once didn't matter. What mattered was the overall pattern. So the formula is brutally simple. Roughly 2 months of showing up, imperfectly, and the habit starts carrying you instead of you carrying it. You don't need to become a more disciplined person. You need to survive 66 days of a behavior so small, it would be embarrassing to fail. What that looks like, concretely, that's the protocol at the end. We're almost there. Timing matters though, and there's one window in your day when this kind of rewiring happens fastest. The first hour after you wake up, your brain is in a unique state. Cortisol, the same hormone we talked about at the start, naturally spikes in the morning, and that spike isn't the enemy. It creates a short period of heightened alertness and neuroplasticity. Your brain is literally more ready to form and strengthen new connections than at any other point in the day. Which means the first action of your morning carries disproportionate weight. Make your bed, and 3 things happen at once. First, you're spending that neuroplastic window reinforcing the exact identity we talked about. I am someone who handles their environment. Second, you close a loop. Completing any visible task triggers a small, real pulse of dopamine. the brain's reward signal for finished. A made bed is a completed project you can see from across the room. It feels trivial. Your brain doesn't think it's trivial. Third, and this is the compounding part, you create momentum. Admiral William McRaven said it in a commencement speech that tens of millions of people watched. If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. His reasoning was pure behavioral science. Complete the first task of the day, and it becomes easier to complete the second and the 10th. One finished task multiplies into many. By the time most people have checked their phone and felt vaguely behind, you've already banked a win, and your brain is running toward the next one. One more mechanism before the protocol, and it might be the most valuable one for the hardest days. Therapists use a technique called behavioral activation. The core insight? You can't always think your way out of a bad state, but you can act your way out. When you're anxious or low and you sit still, your nervous system stays charged. The stress has nowhere to go. But get up and do something physical with a clear beginning, middle, and end, and that charge discharges through action. Cleaning is almost perfectly engineered for this. It's rhythmic, it's physical, it has visible, immediate results. You start with chaos, you end with order, and the whole thing takes 10 minutes. This is why wiping down the kitchen after a brutal day genuinely changes how you feel. It's not symbolic. The physical act of restoring external order gives your mind a template for restoring internal order. And there's a nightly version of this that I consider non-negotiable. 10 minutes before bed. Surface is clear. Things back in place. The space set for tomorrow. On the surface, you're tidying. What you're actually doing is drawing a line between today and tonight, telling your brain, the day is handled, you can power down now. People who build this ritual consistently report the same thing. They fall asleep easier, and they wake up to a home that's on their side. All right, the protocol. No theory from here on. Do exactly this. Step 1. Choose one room. Not your home. One room. Pick the one where you spend the most time, or the one that quietly bothers you the most. For the next 7 days, that room gets maintained daily. Everything else is allowed to be a disaster. Nobody builds a habit and renovates their whole life in the same week. Step 2. Shrink the start. The biggest reason people fail is that they wait until the task is huge, a mountain of dishes, a tower of laundry, and big tasks are psychologically easy to avoid. So the rule is, never let it grow. Wash the dish right after eating. Wipe the counter right after cooking. You're not cleaning anymore. You're just never letting mess win. Step 3. Stack it on to an existing habit. Don't create a new slot in your day. Attach to one that already exists. Coffee brews every morning? The counter gets wiped while it brews. Teeth get brushed every night? The bathroom sink gets wiped right after. The old habit becomes the trigger for the new one. Behavioral scientists call this habit stacking. Your grandmother called it common sense. Step 4. Make it pleasant or it will die. Your brain avoids anything coded as punishment, so recode it. A playlist you love, a podcast, a good drink while you do it. This isn't decoration. Enjoyment is what makes the 66 days survivable. Step 5. The one almost everyone skips. Mark the evidence. Remember, identity updates through evidence. So after each daily reset, take 10 seconds. Stand in the doorway, look at the room, and register it. This is mine. I did this. Corny? Maybe. But you're literally feeding your brain the proof it needs to rewrite who you are. 7 days. One room. Then come back to this video and tell me in the comments what changed. How you felt walking in there on day 7 compared to day 1. I read these, and the results people report are the reason I make videos like this. Because here's what this was never really about. A clean room was never the point. A made bed was never the point. Your home is the one place on earth that is entirely shaped by your standards. A physical record of what you believe you deserve to live inside. Every day you maintain it, you send yourself a quiet message. I am someone worth taking care of. Every day you don't, you send a different one. People who clean every day aren't obsessive. They aren't more disciplined than you. They just decided at some point which message they wanted to live inside of. Now you have the science, you have the number, 66 days, and you have the protocol. The only variable left is whether today is day 1. If this video earned it, subscribe. Next week, we're breaking down the psychology of why you can't stop checking your phone, and it connects directly to everything you just learned. Same time, same place. Take care of your space. It will take care of your mind.